Now, as I promised to Dr. Irfan, I'm going to propose or show you an innovative template to plot a research problem. Okay. Now, research problem is a serious problem. Identifying and defining research problem is the toughest part of a research. Okay. It's like when a patient is going to see a doctor. The toughest part is to identify what kind of disease he has. If the doctor is able to identify the right kind of disease, the rest of the jobs are very easy for him, right? He gives the medication and all that. But to identify the right kind of disease, he may have to do many things, all right? So talking to you, looking at your history and all that, if he can identify, very easy. But if he cannot, he might have to do a blood test. If he cannot identify, he might have to do some, scanning and some more operation, and there many things goes on. In a research problem, is like that. Some problems are easily identifiable, some are not, some are really, really complex. So that takes a lot of time and effort, for you to identify and define a research problem. So I'm proposing and sharing a template that might makes your life easy to define and identify and define a research problem. So that's how I put it. Okay. If you look at the top, I have put the title of the research. This is a PhD research of my own student who has completed 2 years before. So his title of research was Financial Risk, Business Risk and Firm Value. And he got a moderating variable. It's a moderating role of financial innovation. So looking at the title, Financial Risk, Business Risk and the Firm Value, the dependent variable here is firm value. So in a research, when you talk and we do research, we have to always remember that the main problem is the dependent variable. If you are doing a study on employee job satisfaction, job satisfaction become dependent variable. That is the main problem. And those issues, factors contributing to the job satisfactions are the independent variable. Those become sub-problem, okay? So that's how it makes it easy with this template that I'm proposing and sharing with you now. What we do, we look at the main problem. For this research, the main problem was the firm value. The firm value is affected by different kind of business risks. So he has put that issue 1, credit risks, issue 2, liquidity risks, issue 3, operational risks, and so on. And finally, he got one more issue, that is financial innovation. That what he put it as moderating. Okay. So if you are successful in identifying the issues that are contributing to the research problem. So if you are looking at the issue that contribute to the dependent variable, independent variable to dependent variable, it's very easy now, Each issue is an independent variable or moderating or mediating variable. And your main problem is the dependent variable. Now, this part, I think most of the students, they know how to do it, or researchers, they do it. The most problematic part is when you do research, we become too academic, all right? And that's why many people will argue that PhD research they don't really like because it's too academic. And that's why I'm proposing that once you have identified the knowledge gaps and all that, you can also look at the industrial side. So we look at contextual, industrial or practical issues and we put them in the template. So your main problem was firm value, right? Firm value. But here, why the firm value is affected? Because the poor management of risks by the leadership of an organization. So how the risks are managed, that the problem can be identified from the industry. For example, this student has looked at high non-performing loans. He looked at weak liquidity management, high level of fraud and weak internal control system and inadequate capital. So now if you look at, he is going into the root of the problem, where it is occurring. So he is getting the issues from the industry, as well as he is getting the issues from the knowledge level. All right. So from theoretical knowledge gap can be identified from this plot. You put that in the plot, and here, okay. So here basically you have the knowledge gap, knowledge gap or theoretical gap, the main problem and all other problem being plotted, and that's how you will identify dependent and independent variables. And then you are going to look at into the industry and finding out the right kind of problem that is affecting the industry. When I attend PhD final Viva process session, either as internal examiner, external examiner, or as a chairman, or as a supervisor, the weakest point you always find in the student. They are good in identifying the knowledge gap, but it has to be backed up, supported by the industry issues, which they are very poor in it, all right? So we have to have backups. If we have your knowledge gap, industry gap, knowledge gap or theoretical gap been identified, it got to be supported with some industrial issue. That makes your argument stronger, okay? That define your problem precisely, Anybody look at your draft, they see, okay, these are the knowledge issues and these are the industrial issues, and we combine together, it really define the research problem very well. So this template is a very innovative one and a very new one. That's what I have come out on my own, and I'm very sure it's going to help you a lot, to identify and define the research problem. And from here, you will identify your independent, dependent, moderating or mediating variable, and then you plot it in the theoretical framework, which I'm going to talk about it afterwards.